I'm interested to know whether you think it's a job for someone from a football background, Luis Figo, a Platini, or whether you think it's more a job for someone from a corporate background who's maybe had more experience of overhauling large organisations that have been through problems.
I don't think necessarily it needs to be somebody from completely outside of football. What I do think it needs to be is someone who's up for the cultural change that needs to happen there. And within a highly politicized environment, it needs someone who's got a bit of a vision for where they can take it and has the ability to bring other people along. It's a really difficult remit. And I don't know any of the other, I don't know Luis Figo, I don't know them personally, I don't know what their communication style is, but this person needs to understand the political environment and be able to communicate very effectively around a vision. That could be someone who's had a long career in football. It could be someone from a business environment. I think, whoever they put in there is still going to have the same system of governance to deal with. You're still going to have individual countries being represented by people who are not democratically elected back in their own country, still voting in the way that they personally would like to vote. So it is a massive job for somebody. I could see putting someone in who's a bit more of a figurehead, and I think it's really going to then require a team of people underneath whoever that is, whether it's a business leader, a football player, underneath him to really do the hard work that needs to be done. That one person will be very visible, but there's a lot that needs to probably happen within that.
Gianluca, you were, in your time as Chelsea manager, 1999, I think you were the first manager to field a fully foreign 11 in the Premier League. I remember that kicked up quite a fuss in the media at the time. I also remember you maybe didn't quite understand why there was a fuss about it. Can you give us your memories of that?
Well, actually, I didn't know about having sort of put a side out that day with just foreign players until the day after when I read it in the newspaper, because I wasn't aware of that. For me, they were all Chelsea players, and I was trying to fill and pick the best team for that particular match.
It was Southampton, wasn't it?
Southampton, yes. And I think in the second half, John Terry made his debut, so at least something happened in the second half for British players.
I think one of the strengths of the Premier League is also potentially one of the reasons why we're not in the final more often. It's because we share more revenue as a league than any other league in Europe. I think our percentage of shared revenues is the highest it's ever been. It's like 75%. So the gap between our lowest team and the highest team is not nearly as great as it is in all of these other leagues. So the other leagues will push all the money up at the top and therefore create great quality at the top. But at the bottom of their game, they won't have near the same amount of quality. So Aston Villa at 17th in the Premier League. We are the bottom of the Premier League who made it this year. And I know that hurts you.
I'm well aware of that. Yes, I know you are.
Yeah.
Okay, we're the 22nd biggest club in Europe in terms of our revenue. So because of the sharing that happens within the Premier League, and therefore, if our business is done correctly and we're spending that money correctly, we should be able to put a squad together that is competitive at that level. And that's why I say it's the best league. Clearly, there's unbelievable football being played all over the place, but top to bottom, the results, I think this year was a great example of it. Anyone can win on any given day. Yes, it's a clean game, but also because there's enough quality low down in our league to be able to achieve that result. And it's becoming less of an event when a smaller team beats a bigger team. It happens every year. It happens regularly. And the bigger teams know no matter where they go, they're in for a battle because there's now more quality because of the money in the game.
It's now becoming also, with some of the big clubs, post-season tours, mid-season tours. Manchester City went off and did a mid-season tour, came back the day before a FA Cup match and got knocked out of the FA Cup. I mean, what's your view on the trend towards not just pre-season tours, but tours, pretty much whenever someone will pay the big money?
I think you've got to talk to your manager. So if you get knocked out of the FA Cup early and you've got an open weekend and some warm weather training in the Middle East works for the manager, it makes a lot of sense. If you happen to have a partner, whether it's Emirates Airlines or Etihad, and they want you in that region anyway, it all works fine. But to me, the manager makes that call. If it's something he believes is good for the training of the players will help them to get them away from the environment. I mean, Birmingham's beautiful in January, don't get me wrong. It was particularly nice this year. But if he thinks that if he thinks that break is helpful, then I think he gets to make that decision. I mean, and I think that's as it should be, right?
Yeah. Gianluca, you're involved with an organisation as well as Sky Italia Tifosi, who are quite an interesting organisation in that they're helping with crowdfunding for football clubs and football fans. So fans who want to get involved in trying to raise funds for something specific for their football club can. Mm-hmm. I think an academy at Portsmouth is being funded through it. Is this something you can see growing? Could it come into the Premier League? Could crowdfunding become a big thing in football?
Yeah, definitely. I think that football clubs are always looking to increase their revenues and to find money in order to actually fulfill the plans and being able to make it a sustainable business and build sort of a legacy for the future. It's not always about purchasing players, it's about building a better structure and a better organization, and I think that can be achieved in many ways, and with Tifosi we explore that, and also sort of helping improving the connection between the fans and the football club, because ultimately you're customers and you want to listen to them and strengthen your relationship with them, and if you do that, then you will win their loyalties, and loyalty is very important. I always think about what happened to West Ham when they got relegated. If West Ham was an Italian club, the following season in the lower division, probably you would have 50% of your season ticket holders renewing sort of their season ticket. At West Ham, they had more season ticket the following year because the fans realized that was the time when the club needed them. And if, as a club, you treat them fairly, then you get your support when you need it.